Last night, the Rays offense erupted, scoring a season-high 15 runs and steamrolling the Orioles in Game 1. Today, as a special feature, we examine one of the game's great traditions, how to keep score. This afternoon at Tropicana Field, the Rays continue this homestand. This will be the middle game of a three-game series between the Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. And for the Rays, they get a key addition coming back from the knee injury and subsequent surgery. Wilson Ramos will be in the lineup and behind the plate. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an afternoon of Rays baseball with Doug Wechter, Dwayne Stats. Great to have you aboard. Brian Anderson taking the homestand off. Well, the Rays winners in a big way last night. They are 4 games over 500 for the first time, and more good news today with Wilson Ramos coming off the disabled list. And by the way, Jake Faria is going to be on the mound looking for his 4th consecutive win.
Yeah, how about that? Wilson Ramos coming back, and to a team that scored 15 runs yesterday. Now you get to add a guy who won the Silver Slugger Award in 2016. Look, if you're talking about Wilson Ramos' offense, look at these numbers. This is what he's coming off of before the injury. 307, 22 home runs, and 80 RBIs. He's driving in runs, and oh yeah, he can do it on defense as well, Dwayne. That's one of the things I'm most excited to see. As a former pitcher, I love seeing backstops back there, and this guy is the real deal. Now we get to see who he's going to be working with, and Jacob Faria. He's only gone 3-0 in his first 3 starts in the big leagues. 1.37 ERA every single start, Dwayne. He's gone over 6 innings. He's doing it with a fastball that he raises up in the zone. He comes behind it with a slider and a really, really nice changeup. High strikeout guy. Should really be a lot of fun in the matchup today.
Well, last night the Rays scored early and often. And if you'd like to record all that and pick up a few tips on how to score the game of baseball, we have that coming up for you as well. Rich Hollenberg will kick that off when we return.
Kiermaier bobblehead giveaway day. It's also Star Wars night at Tropicana Field, but it's going to be a fun day for you if you're watching at home and want to learn how to score a baseball game the way they've done for over 150 years. This is the depiction of a general scorecard, right? We have it oversized, so you're going to see what I'm going to do. Throughout this entire game, we're going to be filling out the scorecard just like all the press does up in the press box, and Dwayne does as well when he's calling the game. We're taking a look at the Baltimore lineup right now. This is who's going to be hitting first because they're the visiting team. And what we do is we write their number and their name in the lineup card, but then next to it you see POS. That stands for position. And there's a number and letter system in baseball scoring that is unique. All the positions on the field have a corresponding number. Seth Smith plays right field. That is number 9. Manny Machado, third base. Third base is number 5. And we go down the list. Jonathan Scopes, their second baseman, number 4. Adam Jones, center field. You could write CF. I choose to use the number system. He's number 8. Mark Trumbo's a designated hitter. There are no numbers for that, just DH for designated hitter. Trey Mancini, first base, is number 3. Wellington Castillo is the catcher at number 2. Joey Rickard is your left fielder, number 7. And the 9th batter for the Orioles is Paul Yanish, and he's the shortstop, number 6. If those numbers don't really make a lot of sense to you, this is the show you want to watch. We're going to explain the number system, the letter system, and how you can become a pro at scoring baseball just the same way the pros do here at Tropicana Field. The big news, Wilson Ramos is back, number 2, even though he's number 40 on his jersey. He's catching today for the Rays, and there is under 3 minutes to go before the middle game of this 3-game series. Dwayne and Doug Wechter have the call for you when we come back.
We welcome you back to Tropicana Field where the 23-year-old right-hander Jacob Faria heads to the mound, making his 4th big league start. Here is the lineup he will face in this evening's game, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Seth Smith will again lead it off, followed by Manny Machado and then Jonathan Scope. Adam Jones, the cleanup man in center. Mark Trumbo, Trey Mancini, Wellington Castillo, Joey Rickard, and Paul Yanish rounding out the lineup for the Baltimore Orioles. And you see those position numbers as opposed to the initials alongside their names. First pitch of this game is a little bit low.
Jacob Faria on the mound today, fourth start, excuse me, going for a 4-0 record. He has been nothing but lights out, Wayne. He literally has come up with a mound presence that you hardly ever see from a young rookie. And, you know, it's inspiring to see that. He goes out there, takes care of business. And his strikeouts, 22 strikeouts to only 4 walks, means that he's been in total command this entire time, Wayne.
They're cutting a miss. Bite on that pitch, and now it's 1-2. And you're so right, I think, about the presence. There is a veteran calmness about him out there on the mound.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, we can get into this in a little bit, but that's why I think he has a chance to stay. Hardest thing to do is not get to the big leagues. The hardest thing to do is to stay in the big leagues. And getting to the big leagues, a lot of times these young pitchers come up and they'll be pitching on adrenaline pretty much. And what that does is it turns your fastball from 90 to maybe 92, 93. And you'll go through that for the first 3, 4, 5 starts, and then you'll kind of come back down to reality. And when you come back down to reality, that's when a lot of times these major league clubs come back and get you.
It's 2-2 with Smith, and a ground ball by the mound. Right there for it is Longoria. The Rays with the defense set up perfectly. We'll take a look at the Rays defense today. Brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. Shane Peterson again at left with Malik Smith in center and Steven Souza Jr. in right. We've seen Longoria in action already. Beckham at short. Robertson at second. Morrison at first. Wilson Ramos behind the plate for Jake Faria. Rays have patiently waited for Ramos rehabbing that knee injury after they signed him as a free agent. Just recently with the Washington Ball Club. 1-0 the count on Manny Machado. And a foul ball straight back this way and just below us. Here's Doug Wechter up here. And he's not hitting anything back to the mound, but it's about as close as he could come. That foul ball's just dropped below the booth right here.
I thought I had my fingertips on it. I'm drinking a Dr. Pepper here and I'm watching the game. All of a sudden this foul ball's coming right back at me, and I mean, that was, I didn't expect that.
Well, hey, heads up.
There you go. Yeah. I'm going to be on my toes up here. Holy cow.
You get something like that, now you're settled in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
3 balls and a strike. A ground out by Smith. Machado up in that second spot in the Orioles lineup. Sends it into right field. Souza Jr. is right there to make the catch. 2 up and 2 down.
There we go. Richie batting 1,000 so far with his scorecard. I got to tell you, I am too. 2 up, 2 down. My scorecard's looking clean so far, Dwayne.
Yeah, that's very concise and neat out there. And you know, that first out by Smith headed to where the shortstop normally would be, but that play was made by the third baseman Longoria, whose position number is 5. So the third baseman across to Morrison, and his position number is 3. So that's a 5-3. And with the advent of the shift and how popular it is, that 1-strike pitch, and Scope is hit by the pitch. So he'll head to first. Sometimes you'll make a little note. There's the hit by pitch sending Scope down to first. Sometimes, if for my purposes of recapping, there'll be maybe a little notation there inside. I have blank squares, and we'll get to that a little later in the day. But I'll just write out a little note, shift, so that I know it was Longoria, not in his normal spot but maybe over toward the shortstop position.
Correct. And with the shift in play now, you really got to pay attention to who's fielding the ball, not just where it's being hit. Note on Faria, I love the fact that he's going inside so far today. We've seen 3 pitches being located inside. Obviously that one missing to Jonathan Scope, but still the fact that a young guy comes up here, and you could be timid as a young pitcher coming up in this league to throw inside. I haven't seen any of that from Faria. I mean, he's come up here, he's had no problem going inside and spotting his fastballs, and if he hits somebody, so be it, but nobody's going to get a comfortable at bat against him.
Cut at the fastball, fouled back by Jones. Well, the one thing you want to do against this Baltimore lineup, and they tend to be an aggressive lineup, but you want to keep men out of scoring position. That's the one thing they do really well. They're hitting .299 as a team with men in scoring position.
Yeah, really, it hasn't been the offense. That is not the reason that Baltimore's scuffling. And we'll get to the other half of that when we see their pitching come out. But it's really been their defense and their pitching that's really put them behind the 8 ball so far this year. But their offense has come out and swung it really well with men in scoring position.
And Jones out in front. There's Buck Showalter. It's been a difficult run for Showalter and the Orioles. But this division is so tight. You know, as difficult as the last few weeks have been for Baltimore, there's still only 6 out. There's a swing and a miss. Fastball followed the changeup. A man left on base. We go to the bottom of the first. Malik Smith will lead it off here for the Rays. No score. Coming in to hit. Their lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Malik Smith, followed by Corey Dickerson and Evan Longoria. Down the middle, Logan Morrison, Steven Souza Jr. and Wilson Ramos will hit 6th in front of Shane Peterson. Tim Beckham back to make the start at shortstop, and Daniel Robertson will hit 9th.
Yeah, here's Dylan Bundy, the ace of the staff so far this year for the Orioles. You know, there you see his record, 7-6, going for his 8th win today. You can expect a low to mid-90s fastball, cutter, slider, and a changeup. And really, it's that fastball that he has to locate well. If that fastball is located well, then he has a chance to go deep in the game. If it's not located well, then he could struggle, and you know, it would be a good sign for the Rays offense.
First pitch is up and in for a ball, and he has struggled as of late. So we'll see how the afternoon works its way. There's a strike to Smith, 1-1. A 24-year-old right-hander. And he drops the breaking ball over for a strike.
Yeah, Dwayne, right away you're seeing something that you don't typically see from another young pitcher, and that's a breaking ball outside corner. And, you know, we've seen it from Alex Cobb this year for the Rays. That's a pitch that's not easily executed.
There's a base hit between Machado and the bag at third into left. And Malik Smith is aboard to start the Rays half of the first. So speed at first. And as we've learned quickly, Smith can be a distraction over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job by Smith hunting down a fastball up in the zone. Really the first pitch by Bundy that's been up. Driving it to the opposite side. The shift playing against what the Orioles wanted to do there. And now with Smith on first base, you're gonna have to be watching him on what he can do with his speed.
Well, that gets the second leading hitter in the American League aboard in Corey Dickerson. Corey starting the day at 3:30. Smith drawing the toss to first.
Yeah, I'm always interested to see. Smith's leads seem just huge to me at all times, but he's so comfortable out there and he has such a good read on the pitchers. He's able to do that. But if you see the cutout where his left foot is right there, that's a 13-foot lead, because that's a 13-foot cutout. That's how you can judge that. And a 13-foot lead typically in the big leagues, that's a very large lead. So when you throw over, you're almost expecting to be able to have a close play or possibly get them. And you know, Malik does such a good job reading that throw over, and his first step is always pretty close to being accurate.
One strike count to Dickerson. And off the plate. Fastball, and it's a 1-1 count. Bundy, a 10-game winner last year. He was 10-6, 7-6 right now. Rays faced him earlier in the one series these clubs had played until now, and that was in Baltimore back near the end of April. Fly ball into left. Rickard over there to make the catch, and holding it first is Smith. The defensive setup brought to you by your gold and diamond stores for Baltimore. Rickard in left with Jones in center. In right field, Seth Smith again. Machado's at third. Yanish the shortstop. Jonathan Scope at second. Trey Mancini at first. Castillo does the catching for Dylan Bundy. So now with Smith at first, one away for Evan Longoria. Been 2 of 8 with a home run against Bundy. Pitch is inside. Having a big RBI night last night with 4. Shane Peterson had a 4 RBI night. Logan Morrison 3. Rays en route to a 15-5 win in the first game of this series. Go the other way, foul. 1-1.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how Dylan Bundy is trying to control the run game by changing up his times to first base, going through his slide steps, throwing over, as we see right here. And I think that's kind of a lost art, you know, from a lot of pitchers. They just don't take pride in holding runners on and controlling the run game. And that's really something that if you are able to limit the run game and what the opposing base runners can do against you, you really have a big advantage in this game.
And he's done a pretty good job this year of containing that. There's a liner into center field that will stay up, caught by Jones, and that's out number 2. So the line drive to center off the bat of Longoria. 2 gone. Logan Morrison will bat. Morrison last night connecting his last time up for his 22nd home run. Had a triple and a home run in the game last night. He is now 3rd in the league in runs batted in with 54.
Dwayne, I totally expected that from him this year.
And you might be the only guy.
Here we see last night. I mean, he's been continuing to punish the ball all season long. They're just getting his hands extended on a fastball inside corner, almost put it in the Ray tank, blowing kisses, feeling good. You know, the year that he has had so far is just so impressive. It's such a big turnaround from what he was doing the first half of last season.
A little number left side. That's going to be a tough play. Smith, though, is now in trouble, caught between second and third. And he's going to be tagged out by Machado. And so the Rays had an infield hit right there by Morrison, but a little too aggressive by Malik Smith. And he's caught in the rundown as he rounds second. There's Machado, who will get the put out right there. First inning. We'll get back to that from a scoring perspective in a moment. Mark Trumbo. So Trumbo leads off here, taking ball one. Mancini next, and then Castillo. Jake Faria hit a man, struck out a hitter in the first. Pop to the right side. Morrison into foul territory. Going to make the catch. Let's check in with Rich Hollenberg once again.
Well, Dwayne, as usual, you mentioned something casually in the broadcast, and 5 minutes later it happens, right? The shift happened, so Machado was playing basically shortstop, and what happened was the ground ball went to the shortstop area, but Manny Machado's the third baseman for the Orioles. He fielded the ball, threw it to what looked like the shortstop. It's actually the second baseman, so it went 5, 6, 5. So you go 5, 6, 5, because it was third base to shortstop to third base, and that records the third out of the inning. Actually, Logan Morrison was credited with a hit, an infield single on that, so he will not get to bat the next inning. At the top of the second, it'll be, or the bottom of the second, it'll be Steven Souza leading things off.
Well, there you go. That's why I always score in pencil.
Well, that was nicely done. He's got a big erase board out there. Yeah, I got a pen here, and it's going to be a lot of scratch outs.
I like your confidence.
I got no confidence. I also need a lot of whiteout.
Ooh, and this pitch, an 0-2 pitch in, and hits Mancini. So the second hit batter in as many innings for Faria.
Well, obviously no ill will intent. He's trying to set up again inside. He has no fear about going inside corner, which is good to see from such a young batter. And oh man, that looked like it got him right on the bicep. I'll tell you what is interesting though, the way he turned on that ball showed me that it's tough to pick up the pitches out of the hand of Faria, because he could not see that ball coming inside corner until very late. He's turning into that pitch. Usually if a ball's coming inside, you're able to duck out of the way or get out of the way of it. But it's such a hard, deceptive delivery from Faria that allows him to be so successful at this league, and also is one of the reasons why he just hit, who was it? I'm sorry. Mancini,
yep,
right in the bicep.
So a base runner aboard, 1 on, 1 out. Wellington Castillo, the catcher, takes the pitch upstairs. A slider, and he didn't get a lot of action with that one. So a couple of hit batsmen here in this one so far tonight. 1 strikeout, and that's a pitch in there for a strike, a fastball. One and 2.
Again with that deceptive fastball, I mean, he's throwing it right down the middle, and these guys just aren't taking the pitches like you typically would when you see a fastball in that location.
Covered up by Ramos. 2 and 2. Ramos coming back from the ACL injury in that right knee. A few years ago he had a meniscus tear in that same knee. That was back in 2012. This one stays up.
And the first injury, the meniscal tear, usually is not as big of a deal as an ACL. Obviously, you can come back from that 2 to 4 weeks later, but once an ACL happens, now that's a bigger injury, especially if you're a catcher. And if the guys over in the Tropicana Rays dugout, you got Ron Porterfield doing such a good job of rehabbing these guys, coming back before expected.
3-2, and there's a long one to left. Peterson will look up, and that one is out of here. Wellington Castillo hits his 8th home run of the year. And that's the first home run given up by Faria. And this is his 4th start. And the Orioles break out in front 2-0.
Yeah, well, you can just tell. I mean, if you continue to throw fastballs down the middle, if you elevate it at all, these guys are going to be able to jump on top of it. And here's a slider just up in the zone, hung it, and man, Wellington just did a great job of staying behind that, keeping his hands inside, driving it out to left field.
So Rich putting that home run into the scorebook there. The hit batter followed by a home run, and it's 2-0. The fastball in for a strike. Joey Rickard. So Castillo gives Baltimore the lead. And in that at bat to Castillo, Faria on a couple of sliders, one backed up, and that other one you saw hung out over the plate there, and Castillo hit it out.
Yeah, so far, he has not looked as sharp as he has his first 3 games, especially fastball location. Everything comes off of that fastball location for Faria. And right now he's either missing right down the middle or he's getting a little erratic, almost side to side movement. With that slider, it's a big deal for him to get that slider over at any point in time. It just can't be when you're ahead in the count. And he's been struggling with that pitch as well.
And pitch, a little looping liner over the head of Morrison into shallow right. And Rickard is aboard. So the base hit follows the homer.
Here we see change up inside corner, really actually getting on the hands of Rickard. and it's a good shot of the pitch. A little bit too much plate, still elevated. Rickard didn't do a great job of getting solid wood on it, but he did just enough to get it over Morrison's head.
And when we've seen that changeup, a split change, there's more drop in it, and that one stayed up a little bit. So the base hit by Rickard. He got it just out of the reach of Morrison. Paul Janisch, 0 for 8 since coming to the Orioles from Norfolk. He was hitting .246 there. He pushes the bunt right side. Morrison will take it unassisted. The runner moves into second.
It looked like to me that he saw that shift. No one at second base, and he was trying everything he could to hit that ball almost to the second baseman, and Morrison doing a good job of going over and getting the ball.
Number 12, Seth Smith.
So they give him a sacrifice on that, although I think the point you made is worth noting.
Yep.
You know, it's a situation where, well, if you execute what you're trying, you got a chance to get a base hit. If you don't, well, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah, typically on a sacrifice bunt, you're just trying to lay it down. Usually the pitcher's going to get it, but you could tell he was trying to push that bunt towards second base and try to get it around Morrison.
Smith taking a pitch down. Smith victimized by the shift his first time. And Lagori still the lone man on the left side, but not quite all the way toward what would normally be the shortstop position, kind of in the hole between short and third. It's in there for a strike. Upstairs, Faria touched for 2 runs here in this inning. He gave up 1 in 6 1/3 to the White Sox in his debut, 1 to the Blue Jays in 6 1/3, and 1 to the Tigers in his last outing in Detroit.
I thought honestly that last outing was his best one, not just because he went deeper than he did in the first 2 outings, but it just looked to me like his stuff was just on point. He was ahead of most of the hitters, and he was putting guys away. I believe he had 9 punch-outs that game.
And a check swing will take the count to 3-1. So look at that. What do you think?
Oh yeah, of course he went. Come on.
Yeah, that's close enough to a strike.
I think they all go.
Yep. Yeah, he was actually right out there on that borderline, and you know that's a flip a coin.
Yeah, that's a really tough call to make, honestly, and you know, from here we get all the instant replays and everything else. It's a little bit easier for us, but to make that call in a split second, that's tough.
Nice changeup on 3-1 right there, full count.
And that's when Faria is rolling, and that's when he's going well. You're going to see that changeup in all counts. Something that Jim Hickey's done so well with this staff, Dwayne, is incorporate the changeup, especially from a right-handed pitcher. You know, before the guys like James Shields and some of these guys came through this organization, this system, you hardly ever saw right-handers go with the combination of a fastball changeup. It's always fastball slider or fastball curveball.
Ooh, strike 3 call. Throws him with a fastball. So they limit the damage to the 2 runs on the Castillo home run. When we come back, Wilson Ramos will hit second in the Rays half of the inning. Sports Sound is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. By the Florida Department of Transportation. Drive sober or get pulled over. By Jeep. Get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Wellington Castillo, the difference in this game on the 2-run home run in the top of the second. Steven Souza Jr. will lead off here in the bottom half of the inning. Takes a look at a strike. Fastball from Dylan Bundy. Low, it's 1-1.
What are you talking about? Hitting the ball well. Steven Souza Jr. 333 in his last 14 games. 4 home runs. He's such a streaky guy. 0 for 21, excuse me, 1 for 21 before that streak, and now obviously on the upswing. And when he's hitting the ball well, Dwayne, it's tough to figure out how to pitch to him.
And dangerous because of his power. Make a mistake, he's all over it. And when he gets hot, you're right, it's hard to get him out.
I'd also say I'd classify his beard as probably best on the team.
We may have to categorize some of those beards.
Hey, I agree. There's some good ones. I thought Longoria's coming into the season, coming into spring training, that was solid. Very solid. Then we got Plouffe.
That pitch just missed. It appeared that Castillo thought they had a strike right there. A fastball. So the count is full now. Take a look at this.
Well, it looked pretty good. Obviously, it was right down the middle. It was just, it wasn't high enough. It looked like it was right at the knees. Fox track. They had it for a strike.
And a cut and a miss. Well, that's a nice pitch. Right there. Had him out in front to strike him out. And that will get Wilson Ramos to the plate for the Rays, making his Rays debut today, and this is first at bat. There's some excitement not only among the fans but on the bench and in the clubhouse for Ramos to be healthy and come in as the everyday catcher. 307 last year in Washington with 22 home runs. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
You know, I love the reports that are coming out saying that he's been around for a while now in the clubhouse, talking to the starting pitchers, the relievers. He's trying to assert himself into the role of the everyday catcher.
Chases that one, and it's an 0-2 count. 7 years in the major leagues, a career .269 average. An all-star in 2016 and the Silver Slugger. And he chases that one as well. So a couple sliders right there. So Bundy picks up back-to-back strikeouts here in the second.
Yeah, and Ramos coming back in. I mean, that's a tight pitch, tight slider outside corner, and obviously with Ramos, he's going to be excited, going up there, a little antsy, a little jumpy to hit. Tough first at bat.
Shane Peterson. And a fastball on the outside part of the plate. Carlos Torres is working the plate. And if you're consistent, he'll widen the zone for you if you're a pitcher out there. And we saw him maybe be a little reluctant to call that low strike. He's not so reluctant on the pitch up. So
yeah, which
history holds true. That tends to be the scouting report on it.
Well, it bodes well for us. Faria and most of our guys are trained now with Jim Hickey to go up in the zone with a fastball and expand it vertically.
The chop by the mound. Scope with a backhand and a nice play right there. While the Baltimore second baseman, we're through 2. It's 2-0 Baltimore. Nothing ball game with Baltimore leading, and we are pleased to have Eric Neander with us, the senior VP of baseball operations and the GM. Eric, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
And I would think at this point you have to be a happy guy. 4 games over 500.
Yeah, with some of the injuries, some of the things that have happened to be in this position, for the guys to be competing the way they are, we're really excited. Jacob
Faria set to go to work here with Manny Machado leading off the third. First pitch swung on, and a little foul ball right there. Well, hey, let's first, the big story is Wilson Ramos, and we saw him get his feet wet here last inning and that at bat against Bundy. What a difference this guy can make.
Yeah, you look at the season he had last year with Washington and the circumstances that led to him, being a Ray. We're thrilled. We're thrilled to have him back. The energy that it's brought to our group, it's been exciting, and we're optimistic we're going to see a lot of things a lot better in his first at bat with us.
First 3 pitches. Talk about his defense, actually. I mean, his defense is solid. Everybody talks about how good he is offensively, former Silver Slugger, but defensively he can do a lot of good things back there too. Yeah,
he can. He's a great game preparer. He works well with his staff. He's, with Washington, he caught a lot of really successful guys, top end arms, and the veteran presence. Our guys have confidence in him, and he should fit right in.
Well, he had a couple of no-hitters under his belt there. There's a shot by Jonathan Scope foul. He caught the Zimmerman's no-hitter over there and Scherzer.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of confidence in him, and that's a big thing to have an accomplished and veteran catcher who is steady there. And the backup situation's not bad either. Sucre's done a nice job.
Yeah, we had to make a tough decision yesterday, but we thought just the Suki skill set and what he brings to the table in the backup role was the right way to kind of balance out Wilson where he's at.
Yeah, I don't think, whether you've been around a long time or a short time or somewhere in between, those tough decisions never get any easier, do they?
No, they're not. They're not easy, but it's part of the deal, and you got to do it. Try to make the right call as often as you can.
Scope tried to check on the change, and he's out of there on strike. So here's the move with Derek Norris designated for assignment, and Wilson Ramos on the roster and activated and ready to go. Give us your assessment of this team. I think there's the beginning of some intrigue about this club, not only around the team, but I think as fans get an idea, we're almost halfway through the season. They kind of watch this team, try to figure out what it's all about. What's your assessment of where this team is?
We're excited. It's coming into the year. We try to do a lot to enhance our depth, to try to create a more diverse, assortment of talent. Some guys that could complement each other a little bit better than last year's club. So to be almost 3 months in and being at our high water mark for the year at this point, and the guys are starting to believe, the guys are starting to feel it a little bit, and to have guys like Jake Faria that have come up and stepped in and done what he's done, it's exciting. We're pretty thrilled with where things are at. Our players have done a heck of a job.
Yeah, can you expand a little bit on Faria, what you saw out of him in the minor leagues, and might have to carry into next inning, but
Jones hits this one a long way to center. Malik Smith is back there, and that ball is gone. Malik's got back there and appeared that he was going to grab it, and Jones has hit it out. Boy, that's a tough one. Right down the middle of the straightaway center field. 13th home run of the year. And we'll take another shot. This is a definitive look on that home run.
Yeah, nice shot right there. Fastball outside corner, got a little bit elevated. And the way that Malik Smith was standing underneath the ball, honestly, I thought he was camped underneath it and it was going to be no big deal. Unfortunately for us and Faria, ball gets out. Eric, talk about a little bit what you guys saw out of Faria, minor leagues, and did you expect the instant success that we're seeing from him so far?
Well, it's 6 years to the day that he was drafted, and the confidence we have in our player development staff and their history with pitchers. Very few guys have been given the major league opportunity on the pitching side that haven't been ready for it. That haven't had the foundation under him. So For Jake to come up here, he had checked a lot of the boxes through his minor league development progression that we want to see, and certainly gave us the confidence that you know, when the time came and he had his opportunity, he'd be ready to go.
Base hit for Trumbo into right center. Here's Trey Mancini taking a big cut. Mancini hit by a pitch his first time. 2 outs here, and they say never begin a conversation with 2 outs in an inning, but we're going to ask you to stay over with us in the bottom of the inning. 2 guys having a great year at the plate, Logan Morrison and Corey Dickerson. So let's break those guys down if we have time here, hoping that maybe we don't.
Not. Yeah.
Mancini fouls it out of play 0-2. But you just can't imagine. I mean, these 2 guys, unbelievable. And when you talk about all-star candidates, Dickerson, no question. You've got to consider Logan Morrison. He's among the league leaders in runs batted in third. And, of course, Alex Colomé at the end for the Rays. 2 strikes here on Mancini. And that'll be a little high, 1-2. Was there at least a little surprise in the front office with the kind of performance? I mean, this is outstanding.
How did you know Logan Morrison was going to hit 22 home runs in the first half? That's what we're trying to find out.
Right. He owed us a few from last year, I guess. I don't know what to say, but yeah, those are 3 guys that are a big reason where we are where we are. Glad we can pick this up after the break.
Mancini out on strikes. A run on the home run by Jones. 3-0. We go to the Rays half of the third. The top of the third, giving Baltimore another run. It's 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. Eric Neander good enough to join us and stay on here with us in the bottom of the third. We're talking a little bit about Logan Morrison, the year he's having, and the all-star year that Corey Dickerson is having. I guess you signed a guy, you make a deal for a guy, you have confidence that they can do what they're doing, but sometimes they surprise you.
Yeah,
are you surprised a little bit?
We'll take it. It's you know, we're thrilled with what we've gotten out of those guys. I think when we acquired both of them, when we signed Lomo last year, when we acquired Corey, those are 2 guys offensively that we thought you know, had some upside, had a chance to break out a little bit or sustain, you know, in Corey's case, what he did in a more hitter-friendly environment. But you know, to have a year in our environment, to learn our staff, learn the players, learn the community. Sometimes that comfort when you come in for a second go-around that next spring really puts you in a better position to succeed and to let the talent play and not to have to worry about a whole lot else. So, you know, to have those guys come back this year without a lot of the other stresses, you know, in place and just knowing the environment, we're not surprised that they got to more of their, I think, upside and potential that we saw in them.
Yeah, Tim Beckham leading off here in the bottom of the third with a 1-1 count. I want to talk about the draft, and I know that the general feeling is one of great optimism. So let's go right to the top. Brendan McKay a potential two-way player there, and I guess the strategy is to let that take its course.
Yeah, we're going to see. We've said it a few times, I think, publicly to this point, and you know, a lot of our staff had him evaluated as a top of the draft pitcher and a top of the draft hitter, and there aren't many guys that to this point in their career, you know, satisfy that criteria. So our thought process on it was, you know, to let the game continue to give a little more feedback to see where this goes. You know, to manage him physically, emotionally, mentally, learn his program, what's allowed him to get to this point, but to give him a chance professionally to go out to keep it going, to see where it takes him, and not to put a, you know, an artificial cap on what he can and can't do before the game kind of guides him one way or another.
Well, it's relatively a unique situation.
Yeah.
We've had players who have done both at varying degrees and at varying times in their careers. I did a little research. The only guy beyond World War I to do that in a single season and accumulate, I think, 200 plate appearances and 100 innings is Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a big future.
Right, exactly. If we could just kind of recreate that one, we'll be good. So, you know, we'll see. We're hopeful that, you know, Brendan's season came to a conclusion, not the way that he wanted to and the Louisville team wanted to, but we're hopeful we can get him in here and get him going. But yeah, the why not attitude with it, you know, isn't ignoring history. It's not ignoring all the challenges that come with something like this, but just want to give him, I think, the credit that he deserves and the way our staffs evaluate him, to at least give him a chance and to see what happens.
Yeah, my first thought was when we picked up a pitcher and a hitter, you know, I'm thinking, all right, well, every pitcher thinks he can hit.
Right.
You know, I thought I could hit until I got in the box, and I'm like, all right, you know, I'll go throw my bullpen. Talk a little bit about how much work goes into scouting these guys before you actually pull the trigger on somebody, especially a first rounder. I mean, you obviously are trying to get things right. This is a long process, and you guys know exactly what you're getting in each pick. So can you just describe to us a little bit about, you know, what goes into that?
Yeah, Rob Metz, our scouting director, our staff, the guys that have been here. This is you know, Brendan's a player that's been on their radar and that they've been aware of for multiple years now, and you accumulate that information over time. You build that history, you build the understanding of the player.
And Robertson grounds into the 6-4 3-double play following the walk to Beckham, so 2 gone here.
You try to get as much of a you know, an idea of who the player is, what they can do, what they can't do, what makes them tick, you know, how well they're wired to play the game, and you take your best crack at lining up hundreds of players in the right order, and that's, you know, no small task, and there's a lot of uncertainty with it, but yeah, it's a really long process that extends much longer than the calendar year prior to the draft.
Well, I would assume, I haven't asked you directly, but from all indications, you were elated to have him still available for the 4th pick.
Yeah, 3 good guys that went ahead of him, but you know, with the 4th pick, to be able to have a chance to select Brendan there was something that really excited us and our staff based on the way that we evaluated him. Absolutely.
And overall, the draft, I think you came away feeling pretty good about the young talent.
Yeah, I think you know, a lot of the players that our staff really sunk their teeth into, so to speak. You know, we were able to select them at various points throughout the draft, and you know, anytime you can do that, at least in the moment, you feel really good about it, and it's a better starting point than not feeling that way. Yeah. So a lot plays out, and, you know, guys go in a lot of unexpected directions from here, but to be able to start with a group of guys that our scouts and staff really did a great job preparing us for, and to have those be the guys that are coming in is a great way to get it going.
Your feeling about this club now? Here you are at 40-36. As you look toward really, theoretically, in a few days, you'll be into the second half of the season, even though we're not at the All-Star break yet. Is this where you thought they would be, or how do you evaluate the progress the team's made, and where do you go from here?
Yeah, I think it's you know, last year I think we genuinely believed that we had a team that was far more capable, and our players did. Our staff all believed that we had a team that was far more capable than our final record. But you know, to retool and to shuffle things up a little bit the way we did this summer, we thought we could come in and make a pitch. We thought we were athletic. We thought we had power, you know, enough to carry it over from last year. And probably more of a complete team, but also some youth and some things that leave some things up in the air and some wild cards that you never know how it's going to all come together. But certainly, given the talent, given the guys who brought in here, given the veterans that we joined to the group, I don't think we're surprised. You know, this is what this group's capable of, and frankly, I think if you ask them, you ask our staff, and I think they're capable of more than where they are right now. But we'll see how things play out.
This pitch is foul out of play. A full count to Malik Smith. Well, when a team starts to make a little bit of a move and come together, there is, and you alluded to it, I think, at the very beginning when you first sat down, the feeling within this team. That's something that develops that you can't manufacture, you can't force it. It almost organically develops as Smith throws the walk. And I start to get that sense about this team.
Yeah, you can feel it a little bit. Yeah. Winning does a lot, you know, to kind of catalyze that type of feeling. But you know, we went into this year with a group of guys that we had guys that lived through last year, that lived through, you know, the underperformance, or, you know, fell short of expectations, and you know, we paired them with some veteran guys that are fighting for their careers, fighting for their jobs, fighting for their opportunities, and you know, I think just the collective motivation of the group, you know, even early on, felt right. You know, it had the right mix and the right blend, and when you start winning games and you put that all together, it can be a lot of fun. So hopefully that stays, and they can continue to build on it here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that camaraderie can be attributed to guys like Kevin Cash.
Oh, there's a shot. Here's one of the guys who's made a difference, and he does right here. His 17th home run of the year, and with one swing of the bat, the Rays are right back to within a run. Well, he hit a missile to right, and the Rays are on the board.
You cannot say enough about the year that Corey Dickerson is having. Just an unbelievable approach at the plate right now. Early in the count, he's looking to drive something. He gets a pitch inside corner, a little bit elevated, and it looks like a split finger that's just hanging up in the zone. Gets his hands through, and just a beautiful finish right there. The whip around, great weight transfer, and pure extension. Hits the foul pole, and you know, you couldn't ask for anything more right now to Corey Dickerson.
Well, he came in hitting over 370 with men in scoring position, and with him, oh, there's a shot deep into right center field, and that baby's gone.
There we go.
Evan Longoria. The 11th for Longoria.
Can hang around a little
and
longer.
Just like that, the Rays have tied this game.
Yeah, Eric's not going anywhere now. Back-to-back home runs, back-to-back pitches from Dylan Bundy, getting deposited as souvenirs to these Rays fans. I mean, just a great job. Another one outside corner to Evan Longoria, and able to drive it to right center. Beautiful extension on his hands. That ball wasn't even up in the zone. That was just a great job by Longoria, going down and getting a good pitch and driving it.
10th time this year the Rays have gone back-to-back in the home run department. It's Dickerson and Longoria this time, and here is Logan Morrison. If he hits one out, you're not going anywhere.
That's right. I'm going to stay right here.
Be glued to that seat.
The two-out action has been nice this year. You know, to get things going with two like that, and to tie this thing up and put the energy back in this place was really nice.
I did want your opinion on one player filling in for Kevin Kiermaier. Obviously, you know, one of the best defenders in the game. Does a lot for us offensively too. Talk a little bit about Malik Smith and how he's come in. He's done a great job so far. Not an easy task when you got to go in there and you got to cover for a guy like Kiermaier. But you know, obviously you see him, student of the game. He's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tremendous natural talent, and you know, phenomenal athlete that is something that we sought this winter to bring into our group, into the mix, and to see a young player that's as driven as Malik's is to get better, you know, to be a student of the game, to take notes, to just try to continue to grow. It's a wonderful characteristics to have, and you know, we're really excited about his future and everything he's given us so far.
Well, he had a nice at bat to run the count full and draw the walk to keep this one going, to get Dickerson up there, and he wasted no time, jumped on the first pitch to hit it out, and then Longoria, same thing, back to back. The Rays with a club record 10 back-to-back home runs this year, and they're only, well, not quite halfway through the schedule. 3-1 now to Morrison. Good count.
There you go.
And he draws the walk. So it continues with 2 outs here in the 3rd.
Now, Eric, the staff that you guys have built up underneath Kevin Cash is there's a lot of cohesiveness, and now there's a new addition, Chad Mottola. Seems to be doing a lot of good things with a lot of these hitters. Can you expand a little bit on that? I know, especially with Steven Souza Jr., I spoke to him earlier in the year, and they took a new approach, keeping things simple, and seems to be doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, Motor is somebody that has been in our system for a few years, so you have that, you know, that little bit of that big built-in familiarity that exists through, you know, previous spring trainings, etc. That helps. The time, you know, last September being around the guys certainly helps, but you know, Chad's approach is one that I think is very relatable to a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different hitting philosophies. You know, he leans on each individual to kind of formulate the best plan for themselves, and he is more than willing, more than happy to do just about anything to get a hitter feeling good. You know, whatever drill it may be, whatever, you know, mental preparation, whatever it may be. He is very supportive and to each and every hitter in the way they like to go about getting better, and you know, the guys I think really trust him and really buy into him as a result of that.
Steven Souza Jr. has been on one of those stretches where he's feeling pretty good, and where the Rays have come back to tie this game. He's up here 2 outs and a runner at first with the count of the ball and a strike. Eric Neander good enough to join us in the booth here and get the Rays back even. Well, I guess your eyes are always going to be open to try to improve the club in whatever areas you think needs to be improved. And I don't know that there's a complete club playing game right now, so I guess that's always a possibility, huh?
Yeah, you. I think you want to cherish opportunities competitively whenever you have them, and do the most with them. So, you know, it's still relatively early in a sense, and the way the American League is right now, things are so jammed up. But you don't want that to be a reason to be paralyzed by any extent either. So we'll see how things play out. You know, the health of our club, and you know, seeing how Wilson fits in, seeing how the offense comes together, the defense, the pitching, the pen, all that. But yeah, you know, if we've got a chance to improve what we think is a good club right now, we want to try to find ways to do that.
Well, Eric, we appreciate you stopping by and spending the inning, and nice going on those 3 runs.
There you go.
We'll take it. We'll do bottom halves only.
That's
all right. Very good, Eric. Good to see you. Back-to-back home runs. It was Dickerson and then Longoria to key this one, and the Rays are tied 3-3 at the end of 3. Fourth inning now. The Rays striking with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd for 3 runs, and so in the 4th it's Wellington Castillo leading off. First pitch is a strike call. So a couple of home runs by Baltimore and a couple home runs by the Rays. Castillo hit his 8th home run in the 2nd inning. Pitch is down, 1-1. Jacob Faria against Dylan Bundy in the middle game of this 3-game series. One and two.
Very important inning right here from Jacob Faria. Your offense just comes back, battles back. You're back in the game, 3-3 tie. You have a chance to come down here, have a shutout, quick inning, get that hot offense back up to the plate.
Into the dirt. 2-2. Joey Rickard on deck, and then Paul Yandish to follow him. So it's the bottom 3 in the order. And moves him back. Fastball. And the count is full.
And again, you see him going inside. No batter is going to be able to sit up there and be comfortable off Jacob Faria. I love the approach, personally.
You know, you try to keep those guys honest up there.
That's right.
Fouled away, out of play.
You keep them honest, and what that does, it expands the outside corner. Now they can't just be hanging over the plate looking for something to drive. Now they have to be worried that, you know, he's possibly going to pop one inside, so I got to be able to react to that.
Ground ball back to the hill. Faria grabs it and makes the toss. That's the first out in the 4th. Let's check in with Rich Hollenberg once again. Rich?
Thanks, Dwayne. Just marking that one down. That's a 1-3 pitcher to first base for the first out. I want to take you back to the last out of the previous inning, though. Jacob Faria has 4 strikeouts right now. The biggest question I get, the most often asked question about scoring a game is, why is a strikeout a K? So I had a bone up. I knew I was going to be talking to everybody about this. I did my research and I found out that it was a sports writer named Henry Chadwick from the 1850s who had to figure out a way to score a game. He's the one who developed all the numbers and the letters that you see on the boards here, and he already had S designated for sacrifice. So he ended up using the K because that's the last letter in the word struck, as in struck out. The only way to call a backwards K a strikeout looking is to draw it like it's a backwards K, because the K was already taking the spot of a regular strikeout. So that's why you have a backwards K for struck out looking and a regular K for a strikeout swinging. There's your history lesson for the day, boys.
I'm impressed by that.
Boy, you see him sweating out there?
Man doing his preparation
Look
right
at all
there.
that work he's put in. I love it. Richie, you are on point today, buddy.
A sports writer in the 1850s, Henry Chadwick.
How about that? Where do you get that stat? I love it.
That's a strike call around the knees.
You know, interesting point, Dwayne. The way I learned how to score a baseball game, I wasn't able to score a baseball game until I got into the minor league system. A lot of people here see a great replay of this fastball.
Yeah, it's a backwards K, by the way.
There it is, and I wrote it in wrong.
You know, that's another thing about scorekeeping we'll get to, but we don't want you to lose your point.
Well, I didn't realize how to score a game until the minor league system, and the reason I did it then, a lot of people don't know, but as a starting pitcher, the day before your start, the team has you score the game, and the reason for that is so you actually watch the entire game, you know what the hitters are doing, and you can kind of set up what you want to do against the hitters the next day. So it's actually a great way to really stay involved in the game. Now I just got to do it right.
2 strikes to count on Yanni's, the shortstop. Ball strikes. Well, 5 strikeouts for Faria. And he's trying to do what you mentioned at the outset here. With the Rays bats back up there. He's retired the first 2 men in the top of the 4th. And is ahead of Paul Yanish. 1-2. Popped up. Ramos looking for it, right there to make the catch. A 1-2-3 inning it is. Bottom of the 4th coming. Tied at 3.
One of the great days in baseball was the final day of the regular season in 2011. Well, at one point, as you know, the Rays were down 7-0 in this game. And then came that 6-run 8th with 2 outs. Evan Longoria connected on the first pitch of that at bat, hit a home run to left center field to cap that 6-run inning. Finally, the issue was resolved in the 12th when Evan Longoria on a 2-2 pitch lined that ball just inside the low fence, inside the foul pole for the deciding home run, giving the Rays a trip to the postseason and an 8-7 victory in 12 innings.
There's Evan Longoria, who has homered to the opposite field, but right there over that low wall. And what now is Ducky's 162 landing. The ground ball back at third. Machado with the pickup, throw to first. And Ramos is retired to open the bottom of the 4th inning.
Well, wait until you see this on a replay. Manny Machado is about to show you why he's one of the best third basemen in the major leagues. Such a young guy, such a young talent, but look at the range, and not only the range, the arm strength. He's pretty much running to the Orioles dugout, turning around with no momentum going to first, and able to make that throw to Mancini. That is just absolutely unbelievable.
And he does that almost routinely.
And that's the thing. I mean, he's doing it, and we're watching it on TV, and it's like, oh, that's a good play. No, that's an amazing play. You go try to do that in the backyard, and there's no way you can pull it off. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's what we were talking the other night about. Farther away from the field, the easier the game looks. Oh, there's a shot back into center field off the bat of Peterson, but on the run is Jones, and just as he gets to the track, he makes the catch. Yeah. It looks a lot easier from a distance than it is up front, you know, personal and that close.
100% agree. And when we were able to call that game on Tuesday night, up close by the field and watching how fast everything happens, you know, I think what happens is a lot of people just get numb to the fact that these guys are so good. You're so used to seeing it. Everybody has a bullpen guy now that can throw 97 to 100 miles an hour. It's almost like, oh, a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, yeah, that's okay. Well, 93 is still pretty hard. You know, and these balls are moving all over the place. These guys are throwing sliders at 90 miles an hour now. Chris Archer, you know, the stuff that is going on in the field right now, it's just incredible. The skill level these guys have, and it's not just baseball, it's every major sport that you see on TV. The trick is these guys make it look so easy.
Yeah, they make it look routine when it is anything but that. Strike the count to Tim Beckham. Beckham walked his first time. Bundy careful with him, and with good reason. He's 2 out of 3 against Bundy with a couple home runs.
Well, Beckham's been good all year. I mean, I loved his approach coming into spring training. He continuously said, all I need are reps. You put me in the game consistently, and I'm going to do some damage for you. And that's exactly what he's done.
2 strikes the count. Well, let's go back and take a look at the 2 home runs off Bundy.
Oh, that ball obviously elevated just a little bit. They're in Baltimore, and good place to hit. He's able to drive that over the left field fence, and then that's a hanging slider again going to left field, and he's just been locked in. This is a guy that he sees very well.
The 0-2. Oh, that's a little close. Straightens him up. Ball, 2 strikes.
And you got to think he's a little eerie of having fastballs inside, especially after, I think it was Monday, getting hit on the hand. Then Tuesday got hit right on the meat of the left hand, and luckily nothing happened. Able to come back a couple days later. Can always be in the back of your mind, though, as a hitter.
Bounces it back. He hit those home runs in Baltimore in back-to-back at bats against Dylan Bundy back at the end of April in that series the Rays had at Camden Yards. He's battling here behind in the count. He was down 0-2. 1-2 now, and that one just stayed in a bit. 2-2.
Bundy thinking that he's got a couple of calls missed by Carlos Torres, but really I think Torres has had a pretty good zone so far tonight.
That slider just refused to bite enough to get to the zone.
Talked a lot about Chris Archer's slider last night in the hand position where you have to be when you release that pitch. It cannot be on the side. If your hand position is on the side of the slider, it's going to be elevated. You're going to hang that pitch kind of like he did on his last slider that he wanted called for a strike.
You know, I don't know what's going to happen in this at bat, but this has been a good at bat for Beckham after getting down 0-2, and he strikes out. But he worked the count full and a couple extra pitches to boot. On to the 5th we go. It's a 3-3 ball game. Into the 5th inning. You can get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Groups of 50 to 85 will have this private party area just steps from the Rays bullpen. Reserve the Papa John's bullpen box by contacting Group Sales at 888-FAN-RAYS or emailing Group Sales at raysbaseball.com. Top of the order, Seth Smith will open the 5th. The first pitch drops in there for a strike. Grounded to 3rd and has been caught looking. 5 strikeouts for Faria. Chopper foul beyond Wayne Kirby, the first base coach. Faria off the mound. That's going to be a foul ball.
That's the one pitch from Faria, the changeup, that's been a little bit inconsistent today. And his first 3 starts, we saw that pitch pretty much on point. You can do a few different things with it. In the minor league system, when he was in AA, it was rated the best changeup in the league. Obviously, it's a good pitch. Just hasn't been consistent with the depth of it today.
Ahead in the count against the leadoff man. Going to keep him off the bases. A 1 and 2.
And again, trying to go inside off of a changeup down and away, which is a perfectly placed pitch if you want to do that sequence. Down and away, changeup, and then you pop them inside corner.
Be a fair ball back to first, and Morrison takes care of that. It was almost as if Smith anticipated that would be a foul ball and realized that it was fair. So 1 away here in the top of the 5th inning. Let's check in with Alex Cordery right now. She has company.
I do. I am headed to the dark side. We are joined by Darth Raymond. It is Star Wars Day here at the Trop. And how about this? The first 15,000 fans received a Kevin Kiermaier bobblehead. Dun, 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 da 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 dun. Having some fun down here, guys.
Complete with sound effects.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
no, I
good.
love it. They got the lightsaber and everything.
Hey, why was Yoda a good gardener?
Oh, boy. I got to hear it.
Because he had a green thumb. On that note, it's back up to you all.
This pitch is lifted foul down beyond the bullpen. So the count's going to go to 2 strikes.
Star Wars night, and it's the 5th inning. We're just getting into it. I mean, this is big stuff.
This is a multifaceted telecast.
Yes, and I got to ask you. I knew we were going to get into this. You got to give me your best Star Wars character. I know you got one somewhere.
Line drive, base hit into left. Yeah. We have been on our best behavior.
Yes.
We ran into some of these characters.
I know you and BA. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that was intimidating.
Yes,
there.
very. Oh, I like how BA extends the hand. Please, hey, sir, let's stay on each other's good side.
Yeah, that's. I made friends with a stormtrooper, but you can see he had the upper hand.
That's right. That's good fun.
I did like the stormtrooper look, though.
Oh yeah.
You know, very clean.
Very clean. Very clean. But they don't have a cape like Vader.
Yeah.
You always got to have the cape. Good stuff.
Out of the scope up here. 1 on, 1 out.
Now, were you able to witness Vader using the Force when you were in the same booth with him?
No, I left. I actually
left that to BA.
Absolutely. That seemed to be the prudent thing to do at the time. Longoria tries to get rid of it, can't. Now no place to go. And both men are safe. Boy, he was thinking about trying to start a double play. And that ball popped right straight up into the air. And then as it came down, he looked at first and realized that opportunity was gone as well.
Yeah, typically, you know, he's so sure-handed, Longoria kicking himself here because he knows he had a double play set up perfectly to him. One of the hardest working infielders, and this is something you just don't see very often. It looked like on the transfer, slipped right out of his hands, almost had him at first base, but then he realized it wasn't worth the effort.
Well, here's a situation where the pitcher tries to pick up the fielder, and it's so often the other way around. So let's see if that can be done here with Adam Jones, tough hitter at the plate. Jones hitting .404 with men in scoring position. And he has Machado at second with Scope aboard at first.
And I love the fact that Ramos goes out there to talk to Faria right now, because you got a young pitcher in a situation where you've just given up a home run to the hitter at the plate. Okay, and you obviously know that with runners in scoring position, he's hitting over 400. One of the best hitters usually in the league, typically, with Adam Jones. So why not take a second here? Let's talk about the situation. You know, take a deep breath, and let's attack this guy the way we want to do it.
Oh, 1 to count. He fouls this one. There you go. The fielder's choice and an error charged to Longoria on the Jonathan Scope at bat. That allows Scope to reach and moves Machado to second. That'll be the 6th error of the year charged to Longoria. An 0-2 count. And he got it. 0-2. He took him out of the zone and strikes him out.
Well, you said it. He took him out of the zone. That's the one thing you could not do, is leave a fastball or any pitch in the zone on an 0-2 count, especially against a guy like Adam Jones. Perfectly placed slider. Starts middle. Very tough to pick up. Very tight spin. And also a good block by Ramos.
Yeah, it's great to have that kind of receiver behind the plate when you go to make a pitch like that.
Well, exactly, and you have to have the trust that Wilson Ramos is going to be able to block that pitch, because you know you don't want to throw it for a strike.
Mark Trumbo, by him, strike 1.
And Ramos has already had some good blocks today. You know, we never talk about the psyche of a pitcher and what goes on, the thinking, what goes on when they're calling pitches. And you got a man on second base, you obviously don't want him to get to third. You got an 0-2 count, you know you don't want to throw a strike. You have to be able to let that pitch go down in the zone, in the dirt, and know for a fact that your catcher is going to be able to block it. If you don't have the confidence in your catcher, you're not going to execute that pitch.
Into the dirt. This one skips by Ramos. Short hopped him. Machado goes to third and Scope up to second base.
Well, Dwayne, I should have made that comment maybe first inning or two. Oh, you know, honestly, that one isn't on.
It's a wild pitch zone.
That's not on Ramos. That's definitely right there. There's no way you can block that. Faria just coming out of his delivery. And to me, that's Faria just overthrowing that pitch. He's trying to get a little too nasty instead of repeat what he's been successful with, is just a slider down in the zone. He's trying to get better than the last slider, and because of that, he's throwing the wild pitch.
And this one lifted into left. Peterson is to his right to make the catch. So a nice job. 2 men left in scoring position. We're tied 3-3. Fox Sports Sun brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Rays and the Orioles middle game in the 3-game series. Daniel Robertson leads off. Bundy's pitch misses wide. Ball, no strikes. Well, the Rays and the Orioles are tied here. It's a 3-3 ball game. Rangers beat the Yankees 8-1, and Kansas City beat the Blue Jays 3-2. Robertson grounding into a double play his first time. 2-1. Top of the order on deck, Alex Smith. Bundy worked 4 1/3 in his last outing. That was in a 12-0 loss to Cleveland. Made 100 pitches. He's under 70 right now as he faces Robertson opening the 5th, and he strikes him out. Chase the slider.
Yeah, really, prior to the month of June, Bundy was going 6-7 innings almost every time out. You see a nice tight slider starting right down the middle. That is a perfectly executed pitch in Bundy. But yeah, and then the month of June, he's typically hung around the 4, 5, 6 inning range, and the Orioles can attribute some of that to, they think, some arm fatigue, which after this start, they're actually going to bump back his next start so he can get a little bit more rest.
Little number off the end of the bat, right down to Machado. His throw to first is in time, and Smith, who had singled and walked already, is an early out here on the ground ball to third. Will be Corey Dickerson. Dickerson got the Rays on the board with a 2-run home run in the 3rd inning. All of that came after an opening walk and then a double play ball. Smith drew a walk, and Dickerson jumped on the first pitch and hit it out to right. Take a look at the home run.
First pitch up and in to a lefty who's hitting over 330. Most hits in the AL. I mean, that's not where you want to leave your first pitch to Corey Dickerson. And he showed you why.
Close there, moves him back as he started to make a move toward that fastball that came sailing in.
But pretty interesting way that Bundy's going about this at bat against Dickerson. You know, you just gave up a home run to a pitch high and in, up and in, to a guy who's been on fire, and now you throw your first 2 pitches, and he's not trying to back him off. I mean, he was trying to throw fastballs inside for a strike.
And now the breaking ball takes it to 2-1.
And you're almost playing into Dickerson's hands, because I mean, he's looking to turn on you early in the count. He's looking to drive something good. If he gets it inner half a little bit elevated, he's going to deposit another one over the fence. And then the biggest difference I've seen from Corey Dickerson this year from last year, Dwayne, is his 0-2 or his 2-strike approach.
Fouls it back, takes the count to 2-2.
The way that he actually, and he doesn't physically choke up, but the way that he has approached his 2-strike at bat is so much different. Last year you saw him pressing, you saw him trying to hit the ball out of the park a little bit more. This year he's just trying to put the ball in play. He's trying to hit it hard somewhere, and a lot of times you're seeing him do that to left field, so it almost plays into or away from the shift that the Orioles have on.
Now the 2-2. It's fouled back. That's the other thing about him. He can extend at bats, fouling off pitch after pitch while he's waiting for the mistake.
Yeah, the quality at bats that he's giving you. It doesn't always show up in the scorecard, especially my scorecard, because it's all over the place half the time. But in the scorecard, it won't show you how many pitches this guy's battled back on. You know, he got 0-2, and now all of a sudden it's a full count. And even if he gets out, well, he worked a 5-count at bat, 5-pitch at bat against a guy who's cruising. So, you know, and not necessarily this at bat, but other at bats. And he's been doing that all season long.
Battling with 2 outs and the base is empty. And that will take the count to 3-2. And a cut and a foul tip strikeout on the fastball. Rays up and down, 1, 2, 3 in the 5th. It's a 3-3 ball game.
6 starts. Here to drop the 1-1 pitch is the swing rather back.
Game of this 3-game series from Tropicana Field. Special day here. Not only is it Star Wars Day, but it's also Score the Game Day. We've been kind of keeping score alongside Dwayne and Doug with everybody else at home. And if you haven't scored before, here's what the 3rd inning looked like. This is where the Rays scored all their runs in this game. It started out with a 2-out rally. Daniel Robertson hit into a 6-4-3 double play. That shortstop to second to first. But then Malik Smith, the order gets flipped and the first batter comes up. Malik Smith walks. That's a base on balls. And then with him on first, Corey Dickerson hit a 2-run home run to be followed up by Mr. Evan Longoria on the very next pitch, hit a solo shot. Those account for all 3 runs for the Rays this game, Dwayne.
So we're tied as we go to the 6th inning, 3-3. Thanks, Rich, for the summation there on the scoring. Trey Mancini leading off here. Pitch is down. 1-1. The pitch count in the mid-80s right now for Jacob Faria. Bounces this one in there and to the backstop on the split. 2-1. With the foul ball.
Well, a guy whose approach that I've been very impressed with is Mancini up at the plate right now. You know, he's not a guy you hear a lot about coming in. You got some other big names for the Orioles. The Mancini, I mean, he's since June 10th, he's hitting .415.
He lays off the pitch as it darts down, and the count is full. Yeah, he came on, made a splash with the power display, hit 10 home runs in his first 26 career at bats.
That's how you break in right there.
And he draws a leadoff walk in the 6th. So the leadoff man on base for the first time in this game. The Orioles had runners on base in every inning except the 4th. Wellington Castillo, who has homered and grounded out pitcher first, will be up with a man at first. Rays put the shift on. Robertson to the shortstop side of the bag. Pitch is upstairs. Strike. 1-1.
Love the confidence from Faria to be able to go fall behind in the count in the 6th inning, and really at any point in time he's going to drop that changeup. He can drop a changeup, he can drop a slider in. This is the kind of stuff that makes me think he could be good for a while, Dwayne. I mean, he's got a lot of mound presence out there. He's able to throw off-speed pitches behind in the count.
Well, there you go. Ahead there. It's 1-2, and he's not afraid to use what he has out there either.
That's exactly
all of them.
I agree with that 100%. He's not scared of these guys. He goes right at them. He knows that it's the same game that he was pitching in AAA. I'm just going to take it to the next level, and I'm going to execute my pitches, and I should get outs. It just doesn't look like he doubts himself at all, and that's just not common for a young pitcher in this league.
Fastball fouled away. I thought on the first pitch of this sequence, kind of ran away from the fastball a little bit, which is unusual for him from what we've seen. He throws through, and then he came back with a couple of off-speed pitches. And I thought the last fastball, and you, having been out there, would know. I thought that last fastball was the best one he's thrown in this sequence.
Yeah, and that's an awesome point. You're talking about the full extension, the true extension of the pitch. The way he finishes, the way he follows through. Another great block there by Ramos. The way he follows through with his pitches. A lot of times you see a pitcher peel off toward first base when they finish, and that just means he's not getting all the way through the pitch. As you see Alvarado tossing in the bullpen. And you know what Faria does so well is he repeats his delivery, and his delivery is very good. It's a compact delivery. It's over the top. It looks like almost an Iron Mike type arm slot, referring to an old batting cage arm slot. And he delivers the pitch. He goes through home plate. He gets everything through home plate, and it's a true fastball. He doesn't get around many of them.
Pitch popped, foul ball. Will it stay playable? Morrison after it, and he runs out of room. Morrison down there digging for that out, and it was just out of his reach. So the count holds at 2-2 on Wellington Castillo. Diaz joining Alvarado. It's lifted into right. Susie Jr. is there to make the catch. One away with a runner at first. Crush home runs and dominate in your very own Derby competition in the official MLB.com Home Run Derby game on the App Store and Google Play. Swing for the fences against more than 10 million players from around the world as your favorite Derby All-Star. Download Home Run Derby for free today. Well, a battle between Faria and Castillo results in the fly ball to right, one away. Joey Rickard. And he is out in front. Strike one.
Little slider right there. Good first pitch. So many times he's throwing the fastball, and that's what these guys are starting to look at. Rickard thinking that's a fastball, peeled off of it, and well executed slider.
3-3 ball game, top of the 6th. One and one.
And if you saw that pitch right there, Dwayne, that's exactly what you're talking about that he typically does not do. He fell over toward first base, meaning that a lot of times when guys get tired, the first thing that goes is their legs and their mechanics. And you know, obviously with Faria approaching that 100 pitch mark, he could be a little fatigued right now, and you're going to watch that delivery. That's one thing Hickey, I'm sure, is keeping a close eye on.
1 and 2. Yeah, what you don't want to do is to have that thing flatten out on you. Hitters look for that.
Then once you start doing it, you know, it's tough to get back to your normal delivery. Here's the last pitch. If you watch him peel off toward first base, when you finish, you ideally don't want to have your back toward the batter. You're following through, and if you're looking at first base, that means you're getting around the pitch. A lot of times when you get around the pitch, your hand position gets underneath the ball, and the ball becomes elevated.
Popper foul back to third into the stands. But Faria competes out there, and he has enough of a variety of pitches trying to work his way through these situations.
Yeah, and what you're talking about is pitchability. Not a lot of guys have it. Not a lot of guys understand the idea of pitching. A lot of guys come up to through the minor leagues and get to the big leagues, and it's all on stuff. All right, I throw 95. I'm going to throw it right by you. I'm going to throw this slider. You can't hit it. Well, Faria knows how to set up his pitches. He knows what the batter's trying to do to him, and he uses that knowledge against the batter.
Foul ball back. Rickard staying alive, battling the fastball.
And that's just another aspect of Faria that's just so impressive. That's almost, you can't really teach a lot of the things that he's showing. His mound presence. You don't teach a guy how to be calm in front of 40,000 people, and you know, at the major league level.
Yeah, that's somewhere in a pitcher or player's core.
Yes, it's similar to like a quarterback with the it factor, quote unquote. You don't teach that stuff.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Three ball game. Rays have been out hit by 1, 5-4. The 2-2 foul straight back, and that's just below us.
One of these is going to get up here, Dwayne. I thought that had your Dr. Pepper all over it.
Well, you better get your glove.
I better my glove.
I'm bailing out.
I better get my son's catcher's mask, because I'm trying to watch the monitor here, and then all of a sudden I'm looking up and the ball's 3 feet away from us.
Battle continues. An extended at bat for Rickard.
Rickard,
8 pitches in.
Yeah, really doing a good job of trying to knock out a pitcher who's right at that 100 pitch mark. If you're Faria, you got to be hunting down that ground ball double play. Hoping for maybe a 2-seam fastball in on the hands, roll over to Longoria.
Did he go? He did. Rickard put up a battle and then could not stop on that off-speed pitch.
Boy, I love this changeup right here. Great job, and a great job by Ramos blocking it. It looked to me like he went. Perfectly executed changeup. A lot of depth to that pitch. Looked like a fastball down the middle, and then at the last second just dropping off the table.
So another strikeout for Faria. 2 gone, and here's Paul Yankees, the shortstop. The strike as he shortened on the bat. Seven strikeouts now for Faria. Upstairs, 1-1. He's at 107 pitches right now. Popped up on the right side. Robertson out from second base has this one to retire the side. No runs. Pitches around the leadoff walk. We're still tied 3-3. Toyota inside look. Well, the Rays offense has been a big part of their game. 4th in the league in runs, tied for 1st now in home runs with a couple today, giving them 120, and walks along with slugging and extra base hits. Those two go hand in hand with their walking. And they'll have Evan Longoria. Dickerson and Longoria went back-to-back on home runs in the 3rd. So here's Evan against Bundy. And a ground ball to 3rd. That's a foul ball just outside the line. Longoria hitting number 11. The 3rd inning.
And this is a good pitch. If you're Dylan Bundy, I mean, you're thinking, what do I have to do to get this guy out? It's perfectly placed fastball outside corner, but that's one thing that Evan Longoria can do so well. When he extends his hands, he's so strong at driving into the right center field.
Makes it a little close. It's 1-1. Evan homered in the Oakland series. This is his last home run. 10th of June. The home run today to move into, well, give him 11 home runs. Pitch is up, now 2-1.
Well, if you think about that stat with the team leading in home runs, and you think about who it's coming from, it's not coming from Longoria. He still has 10 of them, but some of the guys that you would think going into the season, I mean, Brad Miller, you would think that he'd be a big contribution in the home run category, and you know, he's not even in the lineup right now.
Yep.
And you got Dickerson with 16. You got Morrison, obviously, you know, crushing the ball with 22. Souza Jr. with 14. So you're getting production from a lot of guys.
3-2 and a foul ball. Enough of it just to roll it in behind the catcher Castillo. The full count. Take that back. His 10th home run was in the Detroit series. It was that 9-1 game when the Rays hit 5 home runs and Faria pitched that game. There's a base hit the other way, and Evan is aboard to open the bottom of the 6th. Nice at bat right there.
Yep, talking about quality at bats earlier in the game, Dwayne, and this is perfect to talk about a quality at bat. He works a 3-2 count fastball. You know, you work a pitcher long enough, they're going to elevate a pitch to you at some point in time, and that's what happened to Longoria. He gets a fastball outside corner, a little bit up in the zone, and again, he extends his hands, and is able to drive it to right field.
Logan Morris hit ground ball to the right side. Scope to second, one over to first, and just like that, they get the double play. Giannis in the middle for 4-6-3, and that leadoff single is erased.
Boy, and this is why Dylan Bundy is just cruising and doing so well, because he can get these quick outs, quick double play ball, little fastball inside, rolled over. Going into the 6th inning, he's only got 85 pitches.
I'll tell you, amazing thing as you look at the scoreboard there, the scorebook actually, 4-6-3. That's the second double play thrown by Bundy in this game. He has 15 double plays he's thrown. His ground ball rate is only a little over 31%, and he has 15 double plays behind him.
He makes them count.
He does indeed. Souza Jr. fouls it back, strike one. So it goes to show you, you don't have to be a predominant ground ball pitcher to throw a double play.
That's exactly right. Get a nice ground ball in the right situation. It's a pitcher's best friend.
Fastball by the Rays right fielder, and the count is 0-2 so far. Bundy has had his way with Souza Jr. Struck him out on a changeup swinging in the 2nd, got him again swinging in the 3rd. Now ahead of him 0-2. And he did go, so for the 3rd time in a row, he's out on strikes against Bundy. We're going to head into the 7th, tied 3-3.
In the game with command issues, there's a slider up in the zone to Wellington Castillo, but really settled in nicely after that. Fastballs up in the zone located well, sliders down, expanding the zone when he wanted to. To me, Dwayne, he was able to battle today, and I think today was more impressive to me than his first 3 outings. And the reason I say that is because he didn't have his best stuff. He goes out there with, it's probably, feeling 75%, 80%. And he's out there without his best stuff battling a team who can put up some runs. And he's able to battle through 6 innings, keep his team in the game, get a quality start out of it, and throw 108 pitches and still strike out 7.
Yeah, well, there's a good chance that most of the time when you go out there, you may not have your best stuff.
I agree.
You try to break out starts over the period of a year. There are going to be a lot of starts when you have to battle the way he did. And that so often is the difference between a winning pitcher and a guy who can pitch great on the day when everything's in sync.
You nailed it. I mean, well, personally, I don't think I felt like I ever had my best stuff out of my first outing. No, but all seriousness, they say that you feel your best about 30% of your starts.
Yep.
And it's such a long season. You got to learn how to go out there and pitch when you're not 100%. And not only pitch, I mean, all these guys, it's such a grind, such a long season. You got to be able to go out there when you're not feeling 100% and still get the job done.
Jose Alvarado on here in the 7th, replacing Faria. Faces the top of the order, Seth Smith up here. 0 for 3, a couple of ground ball outs and a called 3rd strike in the middle. 6 innings for Faria, 108 pitches, and now the game in the hands of the bullpen. That's a strike. Well, Alvarado has some promise, and the Rays need that to be fulfilled. He was in the game for an inning and a third at the end of the Cincinnati series. Gave up a run. The Rays won that game 8-3. Came on in relief of Ramirez following Jumbo Diaz in that game. Diaz stays up in the Rays bullpen right now.
Well, to me, the key with Alvarado is going to be that secondary pitch. Everybody in the park knows that he can throw 98 to 100 miles an hour. But if you throw enough fastballs at 98 to 100 miles an hour without throwing anything with a wrinkle, these guys are going to time it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That one in at 99. He fouled it away.
There's no question about this kid's stuff. It's off the charts. It's just harnessing that stuff inside the strike zone.
Full count now. Three and 2. On a leadoff walk, the very last thing that Alvarado wanted to do here in this tie game in the 7th. Now the Rays hosting a post-game concert tomorrow afternoon after the Orioles game. Sabrina Carpenter will take to the stage, playing hits like Thumbs and Eyes Wide Open. Visit Rays.com for tickets. Pitching change coming for the Rays. We'll be right back. Baseball on Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. By Jeep. Get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Pinch a Penny, the perfect people for a perfect pool. Alvarado faced one man, the left-handed bat of Seth Smith, and walked him. He's out of the game. Alvarado leaves in favor of Jumbo Diaz. Diaz on to face Manny Machado.
There you see the numbers. You obviously got a big fastball coming out of Jumbo Diaz. He's got a nice little slider. Last 4 appearances have been scoreless, so we're hoping that he can come in here, get a quick ground ball.
There's a bunt attempt by Machado, and a good one. That's going to be a base hit. No play by Longoria. Smith moves up to second as Machado puts down the bunt single.
Number 6, Jonathan Schoop.
Well, I'll tell you what, nobody in the park is looking for Machado to drop down a bunt, but what a smart play right here. Perfectly placed bunt. You see Longoria way back behind third base. Typically a third baseman's a lot closer, maybe even with the bag, but with Machado's power, you got to respect that. So you're going to play deep. You're going to try to get the double play, and Machado just doing something that honestly I don't understand why more guys don't do. They see a shift or they see somebody playing almost, you know, out of an area. Why not try to drop that bunt down and get an easy base hit?
Jonathan Schoop takes the first pitch. That's a strike. Schoop came into the game hitting .396 with men in scoring position, second only to the man who follows him in this order, Adam Jones. And there's a big cut on the fastball and a foul ball right back. 0-2.
Well, tell you what, I mean, Jumbo's got the fastball. There's no question about it. It's keeping it in the zone where you want it, and you got to utilize that slider. It's a good slider when he stays on top of it, but here is a perfect opportunity. You know, he went up with a fastball. He set up a slider if he wants to do it down in the zone. Just got to stay on top.
And Schoop chases that slider. So what a great sequence that turned out to be. Finished off by a very good slider.
Absolutely 100% agree with you. That was a perfectly placed slider. Following a fastball up in the zone, you lift the batter's eye level thinking that the pitch is going to be up, and now you go against that and go behind that fastball up in the zone with a slider down in the dirt underneath the bat. Perfectly placed by Diaz.
Well, that's a big out. One down. Adam Jones 1 for 3. That hit a home run to center field in the third. A couple of strikeouts as well today. And the slider, and he chases that. Strike one.
And there it is. If you start utilizing that pitch a little bit more, these guys coming up to the plate don't think that you're going to be able to throw that over the plate. So if you're Jumbo Diaz, that's perfectly placed hand position when you're releasing that pitch. Starts right down the middle, and Adam Jones going up there thinking it's going to be a fastball 100%, and that's why he got fooled.
And then the fastball in. That cut. You've got that thing riding in up there.
At 96, you got a riding fastball up by your hands, which would have been called a strike. Almost impossible to pick up coming after a slider at upper 80s, 88 miles an hour down and away. He's going corners right now, and he's feeling pretty good.
And a ground ball to the right side. Play will be to first. Out there, the runners advance to second and third. Robertson took care of that ground ball. So 2 outs now with men at second and third.
And if you're Jumbo Diaz, that's almost too good of a pitch, 0-2. Now you get the out, so you're still happy. I mean, obviously Adam Jones is a big threat. You want to get the guy out, but at an 0-2 count, ideally, it'd be nice to see something in the dirt. Try to get that strikeout. That's your one time that you can almost waste a pitch. I hate to say waste a pitch.
No, I think you make a great point there.
But yeah, that's your chance. Go for the strikeout, and if you don't get him there, then go back behind and just try to get the out.
Pitch is outside, taken ball one by Mark Trumbo. Trumbo 1 for 1 in his career against Diaz. That's a strike. The slider, a couple of those, and the count is 1-1.
I mean, he hasn't given up a good look on a slider yet today. So if I'm Ramos, I'm throwing down that signal to continue throwing that pitch. And you know, you're going to throw a fastball. If you're going to throw a fastball, throw it up in the zone, get it above their hands, and then go back to that slider.
Stays with the slider and gets a foul ball. A little foul tap there at the plate.
So to me, the way I would read this as a pitcher is he's pulling off the slider outside corner, so that opens up two things to me. I'm either going fastball up and in because you know Jumbo has a power fastball at 96. I like the one he threw to Adam Jones. Or I'm going slider underneath where I just located the last one, but it cannot be the same spot. You got to throw it a little bit lower and go for that swing and miss.
One, two. Came back with a slider. 2-2.
I got Jumbo listed at 315. I'm going to say 315-ish. Like I'm a solid 240-ish.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean, Dwayne?
Well, the 2-2, and he came with a fastball. Tried to put all of it behind it there. Got it too high at 97. And it's a full count.
Now you got to think about it. You got a base open right now. So what do you want to do on a full count? You can go back to that slider. You know Mark Trumbo is sitting on a fastball right here. And if you can go slider, if you can get a slider over the plate outside corner, you got a good chance of getting it out.
And there's a line drive off the slider. That's going to go all of the way to the wall in center field. Smith scores, Machado scores. It's a double for Trumbo. 3-2 pitch. And he left it out there. Diaz touch for the double. And the Orioles take the lead.
Well, in my opinion, I think it's the right pitch. I think it's a good sequence, but there you see it. It's hanging. It's up by the belt. It's a slider up in the zone, and Trumbo, to Trumbo, that just looks like a bad fastball. A pitch that's backing up. It's a slow fastball, essentially. Coming off a 96, you got a backup slider, and it's right into his bat swing. So if that pitch would have been executed, would have been a good chance of getting him out.
And Mancini hitting one deep to the opposite field off a first pitch fastball, and he hits a 2-run home run. On consecutive pitches here, Diaz with a bad slider to Trumbo, and then the fastball to Mancini. And within the span of 2 pitches, it becomes a 4-run ball game.
Well, we talked about how hot Mancini's been since June 10th, again hitting 415. He's going up there looking for a fastball. He knows Jumbo's not really locating that slider yet. He gets a fastball, and even though it's 96, it's again right down the middle, belt high. And for a guy who's hitting the ball extremely well, that's what's going to happen.
So with 2 outs, the Orioles have scored 4 quick runs. Castillo fouls a fastball back, strike 1. Well, this continues to be the issue that is being discussed in regard to the potential success for this club.
It's the consistency. You know, the arms are there. The stuff is there. It's just not consistent enough from what we're seeing. You know, it starts with a leadoff walk by Alvarado, which is a huge no-no, especially late in the game. And then you get Diaz coming in, and, you know, he gets a couple guys into decent counts, but just not able to execute the last pitch, and, you know, getting hurt with pitches elevated up in the zone.
Mancini's 13th home run of the year follows the double by Trumbo. That's 2, and that's strike 3. So the inning is over. 4 runs have scored. It's 7-3 Baltimore. Break brought to you by T-Mobile, and a couple of teams headed in opposite directions here. The Dodgers starting the day with a 2.5 game lead in the NL West over their last 15 games, averaging almost 7 runs a game on the strength of 37 homers. They're 14-1, and the Tigers have lost 7 in a row, just not scoring any runs. And when you look at the rotation and the bullpen, ERAs over 5 and 7 respectively. You couldn't score enough runs. I mean, they're scoring about 2.5, but it's tough to keep pace with that.
A 7+ ERA bullpen is just, you can't win with that. Starters with a 5+ ERA, well, if you score enough runs, maybe you can get through. But if your bullpen's not shutting it down, and neither are your starters, that's not a good place to be.
Well, Wilson Ramos beginning the bottom of the 7th for the Rays, and the Rays here late trail by 4. Bundy delivers, and it's popped up. The fastball. Scope, the second baseman, makes the catch. So that's the first out to begin the bottom of the 7th.
Well, I will say, Dylan Bundy has been impressive today. Outside of the 3rd inning, really, he's been in total command. Mixing his pitches well, spotting his fastball, coming in with a nice slider, good changeup.
Yeah, he's only 24 years old, but he really has been veteran-like in this game.
Yep, both starting pitchers have been very impressive.
Want to know the count on Shane Peterson. Fly ball center field. Jones has the range and the catch. 2 up and 2 down.
Now you just see Bundy. It seems like he's in cruise control. He's getting ahead of hitters. He's doing what he wants to them, flipping in changeups when he needs to. That changeup right there. Getting Peterson fly out, lazy fly ball to center field. Looks like he's in total command.
Tim Beckham has walked and struck out today. Fastball a little bit in. Two balls, no strikes. Rays with a couple home runs in the 3rd inning. Dickerson and Longoria. strike. 2-1. The outside corner, and that evens it. 2-2.
Well, here we were talking about it earlier, Dwayne, and you're talking about a guy who can deliver a pitch and stay balanced, stay in a good position. You watch Dylan Bundy clear the hips last minute, and look how he squared to home plate. That is just a beautiful finish, and one of the many reasons that he's able to repeat his delivery and throw strikes.
You know, the way he finished there. Remember Jake Peavy?
Yeah.
It was the same kind of finish.
Hey, you get everything through your pitch. You're using everything, every part of your body. Another thing that you'll notice on Bundy's delivery, he's a little bit of a drop and drive guy, meaning that he uses his back leg a lot in his delivery. Watch his right leg when he pushes right there. You can tell he's really getting all the velocity that he can out of that arm by utilizing his entire body, not just his arm.
He's closing in on 100 pitches. Here, 2 outs into the 7th. He threw 100 pitches in 4 1/3 innings in his last outing against Cleveland. Andy Farquhar up in the Rays bullpen. Three balls, 2 strikes. 7-3 ball game. He worked 6 1/3 earlier this year when he had a no decision against the Rays and a 5-4 Baltimore win. Beckham heads to first, drawing his 2nd walk. So 2 outs with a man on. Hey, here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We go to Rizzy on the hill. We will hear from him, and it's a Kids Sunday demo. Doug, you're going to be all over the pregame show tomorrow.
All over it, buddy. I will do my best. We're going to have a lot of fun, like we always do.
And here's more good news. Alex Cordry will be hosting
the
pregame tomorrow.
Now, it'll be a blast. She does such a good job. It'll be a lot of fun. And it should be a good pregame going into a good matchup.
Michael Gibbons up in the bullpen for Baltimore, just beginning to throw, as Daniel Robertson looks for his first hit. 0 for 2 today. Good pitch. Here's a guy knows that it's near the end of the line for him, and he made a great pitch right there to start Daniel Robertson.
And that's a great take, because honestly, if you're Robertson, you're not doing anything with that pitch.
Yep.
That's a perfectly located 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
It's fouled back. 0-2.
You know, this is what an ace does of a staff. You know, he starts struggling, he walks one batter, he gets right back in there. Next batter goes 0-2.
First, right back in goes Beckham. The left-hander Donnie Hart is up in the bullpen. He's joined Gibbons down the left field line. One and 2. Slider. There's Hart.
Talk about a good reliever. Michael Gibbons. Great start to the season. Mid-90s guy. Leads all relievers in the MLB with 6 wins and 35 strikeouts. He's a tough one to hit. They do have the arms in that bullpen. The Orioles do. If they get the lead, they got some talent down there. And they're missing their best closer.
Yes, they are. Upstairs with that one. It's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Yeah, Zach Britton, that's been a big loss for them to close games. I mean, he was just automatic.
He was as unhittable as I've ever seen a major league pitcher last year. His stuff. It didn't even. I mean,
how can he throw that hard and get it to sink?
I was. I was trying to figure out how to throw it hard.
Strike.
Put movement on it.
Called on the outside edge. We're going to head into the 8th with the Rays trailing 7-3. Here's the first pitch in the 8th, bunted by Rickard, and Diaz picks it up but cannot make a play on it, and Rickard bunts his way aboard. He's taking a page out of Machado's book there against Diaz.
Yep, squares to bunt. Diaz not able to get there in time. It was actually a pretty good bunt. A little unexpected, but
that's what makes a bunt so good.
There you go. I guess you're right.
So the leadoff man is on. Giannis up here.
And that throw over to first might be also just to see if Giannis is going to be squaring to bunt as well.
There's the bunt. Diaz makes the pickup and no place to go. He looked to second, no play there, and first base was vacant. Giannis is going to get a base hit out of that.
Well, no one covering first base. Limo kind of in no man's land there, and that's for an expected bunt. That's not the way you want to do it. Like Diaz was ready to throw, just had no one to throw to.
Two men on with nobody out. Here's Seth Smith, top of the order. Smith takes a strike.
You got your leadoff hitter, man on first and second, no outs. I mean, I'm not going to say that this isn't a bunt situation either.
You could make that case. right side. Out at first, and the runners advance. Rickard to third. Yanich up to second. One gone here in the 8th. Let's check in with Rich Hollenberg. Rich.
Dwayne, just keeping track of the top of the 8th, but we'll take you back to the 7th inning where the Orioles obviously did their damage. You look at the scoreboard and you think this is a typical AL East ball game, right? A bloop and a blast, and there certainly were a lot of home runs in this game, but everything happened with the leadoff walk. That's the key, and it seems like it always ends up burning a team when you walk the leadoff batter. Then Manny Machado, one of the best power hitters in the league, gets a bunt single followed by the 2 outs and then the 2-out rally. A 2-run double, 2 RBIs for Trumbo, and follow that up with the 2-run home run by rookie sensation Trey Mancini. That 4-run 7th did major damage to the Rays, guys.
And here we are in the 8th, and the Orioles are threatening again, Rich. 1 out, 2 men in scoring position. 1-0 the count to Machado, and the Rays have pulled the infield up. Already down by 4. Diaz misses. It's 2-0.
Yep. I mean, at this point in time, you don't really have any other choice as the manager. You got to bring everybody up. Hopefully you get a hard ground ball and get the guy at third base, because really you don't want to give up any more runs this late in the game.
And ball 3. 3-0. It's Jonathan Schoop on deck. Dangerous territory. Dangerous enough with Machado. Swinging 3-0, fouling it.
Well, you got to be very careful with a guy with Machado. You got a 3-0 count, and he's got the green light, and you're going to throw a fastball. That thing better be well located, and luckily for Jumbo, it was.
3-1. High shot back into center field, all the way to the wall. Smith's going to make the catch. Tag at third. Rickard scores. Yanich goes to third. And on the deep sacrifice fly to the wall in center field, off the bat of Machado, another run crosses the plate, and it's 8-3 Baltimore.
Actually, not a terrible pitch by Jumbo. It was a slider, got a little bit elevated, and that's how Adam Jones got to drive it so deep to center field. But you know, coming back to that bat, you're down 3-0 to Manny Machado. Look at the bright side. At least you got an out of that situation.
Now Jonathan Schoop. 2 outs with Yanich at third base. This is the slider. A 4-run 7th and another run in the 8th. All against the Rays bullpen. Line drive to third, caught by Schoop. So another run scores, a man left. Bottom of the 8th coming up, 8-3 Baltimore. exclusively for Rays season ticket holders. Blends hospitality and comfort while offering local craft beers and themed signature food items. Tropicana Field's premier destination area exclusively for Rays season ticket holders is the Republic Bank Draft Room. Call 888-FAN-RAYS for information. Rays coming on to hit in the bottom of the 8th inning. Craig Gentry is in right field for Baltimore. And the new pitcher is the left-hander Donnie Hart.
Yeah, very deceptive delivery. He's a low 3/4 guy. Comes across his body a lot. Tough for a left-hander to hit.
And a lot of different looks in that bullpen for Baltimore. And that's by design, put together by Buck Showalter. Alex Smith facing the lefty. And boy, if you're a left-handed hitter and he comes at you, that is a different look.
Yeah, you see the face, Alex Smith, thinking, oh man, where did he release that pitch from? I mean, he's literally releasing the ball from behind where Alex is standing.
Shows the bunt. That's a strike. It's 1-1. Yeah, you almost halfway expect the on-deck hitter to take a swing at one of these pitches.
That's right. It looks like it's coming right at Dickerson.
Yep. And Smith didn't know what to do with that one either. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, especially for a guy, you know, they never faced each other. I mean, you get a scouting report on the guy. All right, well, he's across his body, low 3/4. Oh, okay, that can't be that hard. And then you see what he's throwing at you. I mean, this is 87 miles an hour, and it might as well be 99.
Two and two. Dickerson is on deck. Longoria due to hit third. Full count.
Well, if you're the Rays, you got to be thinking this is probably one of our best opportunities to get back into this game. You got the top of the lineup up. You got Dylan Bundy, who's been outstanding all game, out of the game finally. Now you're at a bullpen. You got to start doing something because you're running out of outs.
That's going to be fair by the bag up the left field line. Malix makes the turn at first and hangs on with a single. Second hit of the day on for the 3rd time. Well, he figured out a way.
How about that at bat?
That's the thing you have to like about it.
Holy cow, he stayed in there perfectly. And, you know, Hart has been continuing to pound the outside corner. And what an awesome job right there by Malix Smith, you know, playing basically into the shift and getting it around Machado. You got something started here.
There's Corey Dickerson. So far, the Rays offense came on 2 pitches. When Dickerson hit a 2-run home run, and then Longoria followed suit with a solo. Strike 1. Michael Gibbons back up in the bullpen for Baltimore.
Just look at the arm angles that are coming out, like you mentioned.
I'm telling
Holy cow.
There are some interesting looks in that bullpen.
There is nothing average coming out of that bullpen.
Two. Dicks back in over there at first.
Well, if you're Dickerson, after those first 2 swings, you got to be thinking nothing else is coming except a slider.
And how slow can you go?
Exactly. He's looking for the eephus.
The last pitch at 73.
You got to be thinking slider outside corner.
Ball 2 strikes. Seven on deck.
There's that beard coming back. Nice close up. You know, something I noticed with Malik Smith, we talk about his large leads. Now that there's a left-hander on, he's got about 1 foot left, or 1 foot less. So he's about a 12-foot lead instead of the average 13.
And it's down. 2-2. Popped up. Skied to the left side for Machado. So that's out number 1 in the bottom of the 8th. The can't miss event of the summer in South Beach when baseball's biggest stars take the field for the MLB All-Star Game July 11th, only on Fox. Now Evan Longoria. Pitch is down 1-0. Evans' home run in the 3rd was his 11th of the year. Had a base hit in the 6th, but was promptly erased on a double play on the very next pitch. Johnny Hart out of Fulshear, Texas. Tap to the right side, backhanded by Mancini. Nice play out at second. Ball loose on the throw back to first, and it'll be tracked down by Scope. But they get the lead man. Alex Smith cut down there at second base. Longoria reaches on what turns out to be a fielder's choice.
Boy, great job by Mancini. I mean, that's not an easy throw, especially, yeah, a lot of people can get to that ball, but to make that throw, that's tough to do on the run. And then really there's no chance of that double play. I mean, Hart got over there as fast as he could, but, you know, very tough play.
Well, here's Logan Morrison to face the left-hander Donnie Hart. One ball, no strikes, the count to Logan Morrison. Foul ball down. 1-1. An 8-3 ball game. Logan Morrison had an infield hit in the first. A walk, and then he grounded into a double play. Ball, 2 strikes.
You see Lomo, the way he took that, he was obviously looking for that slider again. So tough on left-handers, especially now that you're popping a fastball up in the zone. Now you got Lomo thinking, is he going to come back with that fastball, or is he going to go slider outside corner?
I mean, you think about it, whether you're the hitter or a base runner at first. What a different look with Johnny Hart out there.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's funny? I don't know how these guys learn to throw like that. Honestly, I mean, I have no idea how they do. I try, joking around.
If he's from Fulcher, Texas, he skipped rocks across the lake.
Oh, there you go.
And that's it.
That's what they're doing out there. They're skipping rocks and becoming big leaguers.
Morrison, just a little bit of that one to barely keep this at bat going. Steven Souza Jr. on deck. I mean, you think about Hart, Givens in the bullpen now, O'Day.
If they had the starters to get those guys the ball, they could have something really good going, because that is a lockdown bullpen.
And Brock, is close to conventional, but not completely. He's a little crossfire too. Hart started to move toward the dugout on that one, and it's a no-go, says Carlos Torres.
And you're talking about a bullpen that's so strong, and we already mentioned it. They don't even have their closer.
Yeah.
Here we see a release totally on the side, totally behind Logan Morrison, and it's a pretty tough pitch to take. Yeah, that looks pretty good.
(3-2), and Morrison draws the walk. So Morrison heads to first. Steven Souza Jr. is due up, and Buck Showalter pops out. We'll see a new pitcher from that bullpen. Presented by Jeep. Pitching change. The Orioles bring on their third pitcher. Michael Gibbons out of Plant High School makes his 32nd appearance for the Orioles.
Well, you talk about some good stuff. Wait till you see this. Low to mid 90s fastball, unconventional arm angle. There's a reason he's got 35 punch outs this year.
Steven Souza Jr. taps it back to the mound. And being a former infielder, he can field his position. He takes care of that. We go to the 9th inning, 8-3 Baltimore.
In 2010 was a pretty interesting year. Matt Garza was here and threw his no-hitter. If you recall, he walked a man with 1 out in the 2nd inning and then got a double play ball started by Longoria, double play ball out of Ryan Rayburn. That erased the base runner, and from then on it was 120 pitches, 6 strikeouts, and a walk. Matt Garza had his way with the Tigers that night. Before the evening was over, he pitched 9 innings of no-hit baseball, walked only 1, struck out 6, made 120 pitches, was in complete command that night as he pitched his way into the baseball record book.
So Matt Garza and that no-hitter of Tampa Bay Rays memory. Danny Farquhar is going to be the new pitcher. Diaz worked 2 innings, and Farquhar is on here to pitch the 9th.
I got to ask you, Dwayne, we're talking to the scorecard stuff. Any idea what was your most favorable one that you've called? Best scorecard, best game? Or is that a comment that's...
Well, you know, it's hard to zero in on one. You always think about Nolan Ryan's 5th no-hitter, which was at the time the record-breaking no-hitter. Koufax had thrown 4, and Nolan threw his 5th no-hitter against the Dodgers. So that's one. And you know, Longoria's home run here.
I was going to say, where does that rank?
I'll tell you, it's right near the top, because that game, the whole hope was out of town.
Oh, it was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget how much we were down by, but I was in the stands and I was walking around at that point in time. I'm like, all right, well, this game's over. It was a good run. You know, we'll see what they do in the offseason, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, so that was really great too. That was a great moment. Foul ball here by Jones. It's 1-2. This is a little obscure now in history, but in 1980, the local guys got to do both radio and TV of postseason when the Astros and the Phillies had that league championship series, and that was one of the best of all times. The Phillies eventually won that one. Fly ball to right. Souza Jr. is there to make the catch. Let's check in with Rich Hollenberg one more time just to check the scorecard.
Dwayne, you guys might be following along the scorecard with me, but I'm following along the broadcast with you, and seeing that no-hitter from Matt Garza. Whenever you have a no-hitter, there's always a great defensive play, just like Matt Garza had in that game, courtesy of Evan Longoria and other Rays. I always like when Dwayne stars a defensive play. He literally says it. Put a star next to that one. So Dwayne, in your honor, this is what I do on my scorecard. Whenever there's a nice defensive play like Manny Machado made in the 4th inning, I put a star next to it for you, buddy.
Well, I'm flattered by that.
You got to be honored.
Yeah.
How about the penmanship too?
I know. Excellent. Look at that play, though. I mean, that's truly. And he makes it look so easy. It's amazing.
Yeah, Dwayne. And you know what? We got a pretty good third baseman as well, who is he's one of the best at making some of those plays backhanded, and especially coming in on the slow roller, throwing across his body. Evan Longoria is top notch, and it's all because of the work he puts in. You know, he's one of those guys who's here, one of the first guys here, the last guys out. He's always on the field. You come early, you're going to watch him take a lot of reps over at third base.
Yeah, and I think pregame there were some shots of both Evan and the Plouffe down there.
Yep.
Doing some
two veteran guys
drills, and that's what you have to do. You get to that major league level, which is an exclusive level, and you want to stay there. And those are the things you have to do.
Well, if you think about it, they're drafting somebody every single year to take your position. So there you can see Plouffe and Longoria. I mean, these are two veteran guys getting their fielding work in, and this is not mandatory. This is them going to Tom Foley beforehand saying, hey, look, I don't want to get some work in. It's almost all-star break, halfway through the season. I want to keep fresh. I want to keep going. You know, let's keep those fundamentals up. Pretty awesome stuff from a veteran.
Cut and a miss at the breaking ball. Mancini homered a 2-run home run in the 7th inning. Scored a couple of runs. He was hit by a pitch hit in the bicep back in the 2nd inning. Didn't affect the home run stroke in the 7th.
No, did not affect it at all.
It's a ball and a strike. Ground ball, that's going to get through. Robertson shaded toward the middle. Over to third goes Trumbo. Mancini is on base for the 4th time in this game, his 2nd hit.
Fastball up in the zone by Lord Farquhar, and you know, obviously you said it, with the second baseman shifted over toward the base, just out of reach, which would have been a ground ball double play. And you got a man on first and third with only 1 out.
Castillo takes a strike. Castillo opened the scoring back at the 2nd of the home run. Takes a big cut and misses on that fastball. It's 0-2. Tap foul. Still 2 strikes. Foul out of play. Rays took the first game here last night 15-5, and they trailed by 5, 8-3 in the 9th inning of this one. Into the dirt, blocked by Ramos. upstairs. 2-2. Trumbo walk. Mancini single, first and third. And a cut and a miss. Castillo picks up the second out, a strikeout, and that's the 10th strikeout for Rays pitching.
Good shot of the changeup. Fast. It looks like a fastball right down the middle. Just drops off the table. Wellington Castillo just can't stay on top of it. Well executed by Farquhar.
Joey Rickard is 2 for 4. He opened the 8th inning with a bunt and eventually scored. Strike the count. One and one. High popper, right side. Robertson from his second base spot makes the catch. 2 men left. They do not score, and we go to the bottom of the ninth. 8-3 Baltimore. The Rays down by 5. Baltimore establishing this 5-run lead late with a 4-run 7th and 1 run in the 8th. Wilson Ramos will open the bottom of the 9th inning. Making his Rays debut today, looking for his first hit. Struck out in the 2nd, out 3rd to 1st in the 4th, and a pop to 2nd in the 7th. He faces Michael Givens, who got the final out in the 8th inning, made all of 1 pitch. The first one here in the 9th is a little bit wide, 1-0.
Such an interesting delivery from Givens. He comes across like a side-to-side sweeping motion when he gets to his balance point. But the reason he's able to do it is because he gets to that balance point, goes through home plate. He doesn't swing back toward first base. A lot of times when you close yourself off that much, you have to open up and swing toward first base, and that forces you to be underneath the ball. But with Givens, he loads up. It's just an interesting way to load, but he does square himself up through home plate. And Dwayne, you talked about the finish on a lot of these guys. His finish is very good.
Well, started as a strong-armed infielder in the Orioles system. and has made the transition and done quite well on the mound. Ground ball, that's going to go through into center field, and there's a base hit for Ramos, his first in a Rays uniform. Got it by the mound and threw into center.
A good job of hunting down a fastball, getting it, driving it right back up the middle. You see a good shot, delivering that pitch right where it was. Pitch down the middle, you hit it right back up the middle. That's textbook. Tell you what's not textbook, Wayne, is me missing. I got one open square now in my scorecard. That's not bad though for the 9th inning.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
You just put WL, wasn't looking.
I wasn't looking.
I think Phil Rizzuto used to fill about half his scorecard that way. And he was very proud of it.
Yep. I'll go with that. WL. I was either going with that or a question mark.
Ground ball off the bat of Peterson, double play ball. And that didn't take long. 4-6-3. The double play. Well, Rich, I wonder, are all the squares filled on Rich's scorecard? We'll have to wait and see for the post game. He'll be coming up.
Yeah. I want to see if they're correct. They might be filled. Richie, come on.
Do you think I have an empty square?
Let me see the first inning.
In front of a statewide TV audience, do you think I have an empty square? The only problem is there are too many numbers in these squares. I needed to see some more of these today, but we unfortunately didn't. Coming up on the post game, though, will join us. We'll recap scoring the game, of course. We'll hear from Kevin Cash, and we'll get you ready for the getaway game tomorrow. This ends the homestand. It's a big game against the Orioles, and if they win this series and win the game tomorrow, that means they still haven't lost a series since that Seattle sweep. That's been a long, long time, over 40+ days, guys. So stay tuned. The post game coming up, sponsored by WB Mason, is on the way.
All right, very good. Pitch fouled back by Tim Beckham.
Yeah, that is an awesome point. Excellent point by Rich. We've been playing very well.
Yeah, the idea is to win series.
Yep, and that's what we've been doing. It's very consistent. Nothing flashy, but very consistent. You know, if we continue to take series with nobody walking away with this division, we could be sitting in a pretty good spot.
1-1 the count on Beckham. Been on twice with a couple of bases on balls. Bundy stands to be the winner. Alvarado would be the loser here. The Rays down to their final strike, down by 5. Crowd of just under 24,000 here today. Bundy works 7, Hart 2/3. Givens has a full inning under his belt right now. He came in with 2 outs in the 8th. He's recorded 2 outs in the 9th. Ever get a baseball where you just didn't like the feel?
Yeah, just about every one of them. Those Major League Baseballs, if you feel them for the first time, they feel like a cue ball. I mean, you really got to rub it up.
Especially now.
There's no laces on them. Look, if you get a chance, put a college baseball and a Major League Baseball next to each other, and it's incredible the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point where if I was a scout, you would have to look at some of these guys who throw these 12-6 curveballs in college and wonder if that translates with the Major League Baseball. The seams are that much lower. It's insane.
There's a wave and a miss. Beckham out on strikes to end this game. So the Orioles win this one 8-3. The game even at a game apiece. For Doug Wechter, Dwayne Stats, hope you've enjoyed the telecast and not the outcome. Reminder, Rays Live, the post game comes your way next, presented by WB Mason.
With his third